spot, or are you going to adjust?
I will adjust for you. So.
We will adjust. Hi, everybody. Theresa Coble.
So you want this pretty much, I'll demonstrate, right about here. You don't
All
need
right.
to have your lips on it, but
Close.
close to your lips on it. I say if it was a flashlight, pretend that you're telling ghost stories like it needs to be pointing right at you.
Oh, like the mouth lights up
Right,
and the red
exactly.
color, and
Yeah.
it looks even creepier.
I came up with that analogy, so I think that's my only contribution to audio writ large.
I don't know. I think you should write a book, and lots of people would read it because it'd be nice and short, to the point. I like books that are short.
Is that
to
your
the point.
style, Sam? Short
I guess
to the
so.
point?
I think so. Definitely short. I've got that covered.
Stop.
Hey, listen,
Short people are awesome.
Indeed.
It's a thing. Mm-hmm. We just are.
We are.
What is Masada, by the way?
It is a place in Israel. My mom went there and got a gift shirt for me.
And all you got was that
Yeah.
t-shirt.
T-shirt.
I know.
Mom. So
Right,
we're
and
doing
some stories, perhaps.
cool stories, I'm sure. Did you do a slideshow? We don't do slideshows anymore. Remember that the slideshow when people would invite you over to their house to see the slideshow
that's
of
right,
their
their trip.
vacation?
Still kinda does
Yeah.
that, actually.
But we do it with
take
our phone
pictures.
now.
Oh yeah.
You put the disc in on the TV, and it
Wow.
rotates pictures,
We
and
don't
you can
have
have it
microphones.
playing like nonstop in the background at a person's party.
That's true.
And when the conversation's boring, you can get sucked
Oh,
in.
look
to,
at
oh,
those
yeah.
pictures. Oh, you guys look so. You look like you're having fun.
Cute kids.
Cute kids. Kids are adorable.
Yep.
So there's 3 9-10 minute sections.
All right.
Excuse my stomach. You can tell I'm hungry. My
Yes.
stomach's like, time to eat, Mich. I'm like, I'll get there. I'll get to
If
it.
I were to need a glass of water,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I say that
I'm
I have
sorry.
a water bottle, but I drink it on the way over.
We will. Thank you, Sam. But yeah, that'll tell us our time, and we have 3 of them. 2
Okay.
are chatty, and the last one is where I get to just ask you some questions. But you are really in control of the conversation wherever you want to take it.
Okay.
You are in control of it. Like wherever
Do you have
want.
goals, like what you hope to see emerge? All right.
Your awesome brilliance. That's it.
You know, do you always talk to people like
Yeah,
this?
because
you're
it's
so
true.
warm and encouraging.
But TEDx, I mean, I hope that's what we are attracting to us.
I know.
Because we would be a really crappy TEDx if we were getting really boring people that don't know what they're talking about. That just wouldn't work.
Passions and interests, like anybody can roll with that, right? But
Well, yeah.
yes.
I mean, and that's
you.
what, to me, what is one of the cool things about TEDx speakers and people that are attracted to TEDx is they generally are people that are living their passion.
Yes.
And like, they're like, I'm going to make the world better, and this is how I'm going to do it. You know?
Yeah.
So, yay us.
Exactly.
This is what we do. We make the world better.
we do. We do.
How would the world survive without us?
So are you live streaming on Facebook? When
Yeah,
you
we
say
are.
that?
We're live. Hi, everybody. If I could actually, if my eyes could see that far, I'm sure that, let's see. Wait, who is on here? Hold on. Let's see. There'll be people. There'll be
Yep.
people. Hi, let's see. Suzanne Evans. Hi, and well, it says, it's asking me if I want to be people. And we're just going to be who we are. It wants me to tag people.
Yep.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a new
there's some
thing. But
likes.
Facebook constantly sits around and says, now what can we do?
Right.
Now what should we do?
Lure in another subset.
Right now, Facebook is making me really angry, though. I have so many clients with billing issues with their ads with Facebook. I don't know
Oh.
what they're doing,
Interesting.
but their support is not good. They don't have live chat anymore. Like, you used to be able to chat with somebody, and it used to be if you were spending money with them that you could talk to a person like, I'm having an issue.
Right.
And then it went from that to, I'm having an issue, so I put in a ticket, and they would resolve the issue. Now you put in a ticket, who knows?
Wow. So it's like Amazon. I keep wanting to get a number I can call, but no, you have to send an email query and you have to wait. And
But so
they're
far,
quick.
Amazon gets back to you.
Yes.
Facebook is not getting back to me, and I'm talking months.
And you're talking billing. Like, that's
months,
not okay.
Months, yeah. Oh my gosh, they're making me crazy. I mean, and then I was looking, like, you look on the back end, like, where people are asking questions, and there's a lot of people mad at them. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people going, Facebook, really? Are you going to talk to me? And you can't leave reviews on their Facebook page, which is interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
I'm like,
That's an eye roller.
oh, oh, really? Yeah, it's interesting.
That is.
All right.
So I love them, but they're making me a little angry right now.
Mm-hmm.
Love you, Mark. Love you, Mark Zuckerberg. Please listen to me. He's like, whatever. I've got more important things to do.
All right. I'm ready when you are.
I am ready.
All right. Here we go.
Hi, this is Mich Hancock, and you are listening to Mishmash, a place where I get to talk to the weird, wacky, wonderful people of this world, people I adore and want to know more about. Today, my guest is Theresa Coble. Theresa serves as the E. Desmond Lee Endowed Professor of Experiential and Family Education at the University of Missouri St. Louis in collaboration with Forest Park Forever. She serves on the National Park Service Advisory Board Education Committee and is Vice President for Administration and member of the Board for the National Association for Interpretation. Welcome, Theresa.
Well, thank you so much, Mich.
What does this mean, National Association for Interpretation?
So that's such a great question. You can go back to earlier you mentioned that I was on the National Park Service Advisory Board Education Committee. So there is a lot of education that happens inside classrooms and schools.
Right.
But that's only a piece. And in fact, if you look at all the hours that people spend in their lifetime learning, formal education is a thin sliver compared to all the learning that happens outside the classroom.
Right.
So when you are young, you run in the woods and play. You go to, maybe a preschool that takes you outdoors. There's time spent with kids, and you go on family trips. A lot of the time you spend as you maybe do your week-long road trip family vacations where you go historic site, there's a house, there's a old mining site, maybe there's a historic town, there could be a presidential house, there could be all kinds of sites that your parents drag you off to. There could be the Arch, there could be the Blues Museum, and certainly Forest Park has a number of places where people would dive in. So interpretation are all of those places where informal learning happens.
Really?
And so there is an association for folks who have as their day job to help do education programs, do the signs, flyers, brochures, films, the media, the outreach, the school-based joint venture programs, Parks as Classroom kinds of things. There's an organization for that. There's federal agencies that have job classifications in that area, and then there's a whole network of others that are involved in that, I think, really exciting area of education.
Oh, cool. Okay. And before you came here,
Yes.
you were in Austin, right?
No, I was in Texas.
Okay.
But I was at a university called Stephen F. Austin
Oh, well,
State
that's where I
University.
got that from. Sorry,
It's
I
in
mixed that up.
Nacogdoches, Texas.
Where is it?
East Texas. That's the oldest town in Texas is Nacogdoches, Texas.
It is? What did you do there?
So at Stephen F. Austin and before at West Virginia University, I spent 18 years as a faculty member in a Department of Forestry or a College of Forestry.
Cool. All right. And are you kind of sad a little bit about forests because it seems like they are going away from us?
So it's such an interesting question about natural resources, natural resource management. The forest is made up of soil and water, plants. It has a whole kind of living system that help to support woody vegetation and other kinds of vegetation. We are seeing globally, obviously, lots of impacts with deforestation, desertification, just challenges with the urban-rural interface and sometimes fragmentation of forest systems. So yeah, there's a sadness. There's also a sense of we have people who work in policy and planning areas, work at community engagement and try to find solutions that help to support healthy forests, healthy communities at all kinds of levels, and especially at grassroots, which gives me hope and encouragement.
Right. Well, it's so I don't know if you know this about St. Louis, but armadillos were not here.
That's
and
correct.
Now armadillos are
They're here.
And
they're migrating north.
Yeah, I mean, the very first time I saw one, I was like, was that an armadillo? I did not just see an armadillo. What is an armadillo doing here?
Correct.
And when I started seeing a lot more of them, it made me so sad. I thought, not that I welcome the armadillos. Come on in, hang out. But it made me so sad because I thought this means that they don't have a place to go.
Well, actually, I think they're expanding the range, or you could say, as our climate changes, you're starting to create more area where populations of armadillos can colonize and thrive. and they are pretty
I like
hardy.
your idea better than mine.
They're expanding. But it's actually an species that are migrating northward and increasing their range upwards in elevation. That's one of the indicators of changing climate. So you're seeing it when you drive down the road and there's the dead armadillo.
So are we gonna see any other species coming here that we are not used to seeing?
Well, there's another famous Texas species, the fire ant. That was it's exotic.
I don't think we want
Stowaway from Brazil. I'm hoping, I just keep wanting to imagine that winters here are cold enough that that's not going to be a match.
That is really true. I mean, I am not a huge fan of winter, but every winter I'm like, I do want it to get cold enough so that when summer shows up, I'm not going to have to deal with as many mosquitoes.
And ticks.
And so fire ants are the ones that you're just like, I think I had to deal with them in Florida one time.
Yeah.
We were watching a space shuttle take off, and so your
Eyes
total
are up.
focus are and then all of a sudden I was like, and these little
Exactly.
horrible ants were biting the heck out of me, and those hurt.
And they form very painful bites. They itch. Yeah, it's not a fun thing.
And there's a lot of them. Like, you can't believe you didn't notice them. You're like,
Right.
what the heck?
I'm
Where did
standing
you
in a
come from?
swarm. Yeah.
Oh, fire ants, you don't have to come here, maybe.
I'm hoping. I move north.
Again, nothing against fire ants, just, or maybe they could come, just don't bite anybody.
That won't work.
I know.
It's in their
It's
DNA.
our nature, Mich. We can't help that.
I know.
So, all right. So with what you do, I mean, so here we have an awesome park.
Yep.
Yes.
You're thinking Forest Park.
Forest Park.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, tell us all the wonderful things that you love about Forest Park.
So, I will say that I compare Forest Park and its role as the green jewel in the center of the city and its connection to the turn of the last century, the City Beautiful movement, the realization of, much like what happened in Central Park in the 1850s, developing a space where it can be, people can mix, mingle, get away, recharge, regenerate, sort of adding that community forum, the place where people from all different backgrounds can share in fun and discovery, healthful outdoor activities, perhaps things that relate to culture and the arts. It's a hub. And I think Forest Park does that. I think it's great to have the Great Rivers Greenway. I think having the connective tissue that brings people in and fans them out. I know that as an urban area, St. Louis is re-engaging the Mississippi River and the waterfront.
Yes.
So all of these tiers of connectivity, the Green Heart, the spokes that go out, the river, and then I think the Ozarks and the surrounding rural areas. It's part of understanding your place. It's part of feeling connected to the world around you. I think it helps us be more in tune maybe with ourselves, but certainly in tune with maybe that instinct to want to be good stewards and to care for the neighborhoods, the places where we are. So I think Forest Park has that push in all those directions.
Well, it's so beautiful, and I really do love that we have an art museum that people can go to for free. That you can go to the zoo for free. I mean, yes, there's opportunities to spend money all the time, but but that it's so it's accessible to everyone. Everyone can go and visit these amazing places, and it's one of my bragging points about St. Louis.
Absolutely.
I tell people, I'm like, you should come vacation here.
I know.
And we don't have expensive parking.
Right. I would agree. And so the fact that we have 1,300 acres of park landscape with the zoo, 3 million plus visitors a year, the art museum, the history museum, the science center, and the Muni. I mean, all of these elements connected together, I find it to be the natural and cultural heritage merging together of two critical areas, I think, of our learning, lifelong learning, and the things that add value and joy to life.
Love it. Love it. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Theresa Coble. It is a cool park.
It is a cool park.
I love our park. But I'm a huge St. Louis fan.
Yep.
So I've lived here all my life, and it's just, it's one of my favorite things.
down a little bit?
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh, I know what I want to. I want to talk about the what you do.
Uh-huh.
I want to talk about the E. Desmond Lee Endowed Professor of Experiential. Tell us about E. Desmond Lee. Tell us about this, because I think this would be, we should go here.
This is in between at the start. So I'm a part of a collaborative of about 34 faculty. 29 of us are at the University of Missouri St. Louis, and another, maybe it's, 5 faculty are at other area universities. And our job is to do what we do as faculty, but also to maintain an active partnership with one or more community organizations. And in my case,
so let's
Forest
talk
Park
about
Forever.
that, because I mean, this is like a new trend we're seeing, right? Where like there's like we need a team of individuals that aren't not necessarily like this is everybody's expertise, because we're going to bring in all these different entities to make it all happen. But yeah. I
will say that I'm not the most knowledgeable about that, so hopefully you queue up in it, because like I know a little bit about mine. Well, and so the maybe after we talk about it for a while, and you've kind of poked at my threshold of knowledge, like what was it that you've done prior to coming here that helped to
bring you
prepare
to that place?
Yeah, and
bring
then I can talk about
place.
National Park Service.
Well, but
stuff.
like the relationship between humans and natural resources, the link between social justice. I think that's really
and the
what
social
we need
justice
to talk about.
part. Yes.
Yeah, because that's
in the news.
Crazy interesting right
Yeah.
now. To me and to everybody. I'm ready. I will start chatting off air.
All right. Here we go.
And we are back with Theresa Coble. So I wrote this down that you're in your wheelhouse is this whole idea about the relationship between humans and our natural resources, and the link between social justice and environmental equity. Do tell.
So it's such an interesting thing how people change and grow over their career. And so when I started in the field of the human dimensions of natural resources, I worked very closely with park management. You've got crowds coming to beaches or popular destination sites. How do you corral them? How do you make sure that they have fun, but they're not causing impacts to the things they came to see and enjoy?
Right.
So that's where I started, more managerial, a lot more, heavy-handed. Like there's all kinds of things you can do with signage and placing personnel at key points and perhaps creating a regulation or even citing people for fines. So, it felt a little bit on the heavy-handed side. At some point along the way, I had the opportunity to work with some of the most amazing people in the National Park Service who helped me to understand parks not as places to experience in terms of outdoor recreation primarily, but also to go there in terms of seeking to better understand the history and the environment, having a chance to learn, having a chance to think about the meanings and significance of the place, thinking about how the things that happen there or the systems that are protected, like, tallgrass prairie ecosystems or what have you, how they help to influence our understanding of our world now. And so many sites, they tell stories that aren't very fun. You have, in the West, you have the Manzanar site where we interred Japanese Americans. You have a whole ring of forts, frontier forts that were part of the Indian Wars. You have our arch, which if you go to their exhibit, you'll know that it's the gateway to the West. It's tied to the whole idea of manifest destiny. Well, the settlement West had a lot of impacts with tribes and, the whole history of our Western expansion and our, the tragic stories that unfold as we Native American genocide and the removal of children from their homes to boarding schools, just lots of different stories that aren't comfortable.
Right.
And I started to understand as I thought about national parks, well, you've got issues in land management. How do we maintain quality resources and make good decisions that can keep those resources healthy and functioning and vital? And hopefully unimpaired for future generations. How can you do that? And how can we also think about the challenges we face with the more historical, sites and the hard lessons that they bring. And I only stopped at the Mississippi River. If we keep going east, there's just so many sites that introduce us to the challenges that we have grappled with in the past and sometimes swept under the rug and other times held out in the light. And I sense that if we can think of our natural heritage and our cultural heritage as having some embedded in them, some of the same challenges about learning, growing, caring, responding, then I think we can make better choices as people in the future.
I love it. That is awesome. I mean, that's heady stuff, but that is so awesome, and it's true. I mean, we can't sweep stuff under the carpet. We have to be responsible as a nation, as a people. You know, we have to take responsibility for the things we've done, and then we also have to learn from that, hopefully to make a better world. Yeah, that would be an awesome thought and idea, right?
Correct.
But also, you know, I think about when you were talking about the impact. In Puerto Rico, I've been there a couple of times, in this little island it's called Vieques, and they have a bioluminescent bay. Wow. And the first time I went, it was incredible. I mean, it was like glow in the dark, and by agitating these little guys,
diatoms or plankton or
dinoflagellates, I think they're called. Okay,
nice.
Dino. There we go. And okay, so I'll get it. But so by agitating them, it would just glow. So and every time we'd go, we would go when we knew there was going to be like no moonlight out, so we could really get the full experience. But at one point, it wasn't as exciting. And they even say, please don't wear any kind of sunscreen, don't wear any kind of bug repellent, which me, who is like a mosquito's delight, I mean, I even didn't. I was like, yeah, I will honor this because I want this to remain.
Right.
But, and because of light pollution, it just has gone downhill. Right. They didn't have a Theresa.
Actually, they do. I know some people in Puerto Rico who are working on the coast, working in their in their land management agencies. They are fantastic, but it is a challenge when you think about the choices we make. And especially when you look at Puerto Rico or coastal zones, I think we could say 55% of our U.S. population lives within either in a coastal county or one county in. So we have a heavy coastal population base. And we have all kinds of impacts, water and runoff, all kinds of things with eutrophication of water sources. We have industrial agriculture and the inputs from those. And in fact, talking with Heather Navarro with the Missouri Coalition for the Environment, she was saying that the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico, Missouri, agriculture is the #1 contributor to that space. And it's just an issue of how do we manage our application of chemicals, how do we use different kinds of farming practices, how do we devise strategies so that we can have less runoff. It's a non-point source pollution challenge, which is always more complicated, but it's a matter of, as you said, people are working on it. It takes time. And I think it's economics, our view of how we should grow and what kinds of return on investment in the economic, business cycle we're looking for, what kinds of things we are willing to accept in terms of pollution or throughputs. There's a tremendous amount of trade-offs that we have to consider as a society, and we do need to have an economic engine that can sustain livelihood and well-being.
Yes.
But consumerism, can go way off the dial. Is that really what we want? Is that adding net value to our lives just because we spend more or generate more, GDP in certain kinds of categories of, goods and services? I would say that we could probably take a collective stock of what our long-term interests are and those of our kids and really assess what is a prudent, maybe, path to go forward.
Well, I agree. I got to tell you, I think it's, when I was, so I'm looking at when I was a kid, and then these fashion trends would happen, and you had to keep up with the fashion trends. Now it's every month. Yeah. It is changed every month. Like, this is in this month, and next month it's this. I'm like, I can't keep up with this. I cannot keep up with it. And I feel like it's almost like malls are sort of disposable at this point, because it's like, oh, this place will be really hot for like 10 years, and oh, that place is gone. Now this one comes in. It's
it's almost
keep up.
migrating outwards.
Yeah.
And we're not keeping and reinvigorating our urban core, perhaps at least in the retail sector as much as we could. It sort of goes further out with.
And it's like, at some point, we have to quit buying and buying and buying and buying, and and the trends have to just like whoosh. maybe the trend is we like this for a long time.
So, it's so interesting. There's, in forestry, one of our founding fathers of forestry and wildlife management is named Aldo Leopold, and his land ethic came out in his book, Sandy County Almanac, in the late 40s. And in that book, he talks about a thing is good when it tends to preserve the beauty, integrity, and health, I think. I might misquote, our founding father, of the ecosystem or of the land. And it's wrong when it tends otherwise. So there was a sense of the good that we can do in caring for our neighborhood, our yards, the good that we can do with our parks or with our larger ecosystems is to preserve beauty, integrity, health. But the challenge there is, and some people have asked, well, perhaps Leopold's land ethic is only half a loaf, that the other half is consumption. Like if we are demanding of those systems more than they can provide and consuming, at levels that they're not able to recharge or sustain that output for the long term, then we really, all our efforts to conserve aren't really equal to the consumption side.
Oh gosh, it seems like this really simple thing, but it's like words to live by, right? Thanks, Leopold. This is words to live by, but
we all get
reality.
Caught up. Some you move to a city and you decide, gosh, I need to buy a house, or maybe I should buy a house. What should I do?
And where should I live? Because my other furniture doesn't fit with the house I have now. So
And what will have resale value? So like you start getting caught in a series of questions that are very different from the other half of the loaf side. I want to be careful about that.
All right, we need to ponder that other half of the loaf. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with Theresa Coble.
Oh, I hope I didn't get too heavy.
No,
they're on live stream.
No. It's good. People. We want people thinking, right? But because it is hard. I go back and forth. I have a guilt thing about. Everything you buy, like almost everything I buy at the store, it has a package. And then you think, well, how do you do it so there's not a package? There's not a way to do it so there's not a package. So then what? And then I do my recycling thing and all of that. But I have a guilt thing about I have such a guilt thing about my trash.
Have you ever watched the movie Bag It? It's a documentary.
No.
I love it. It's about plastic. And so the main character, he self-films it, and he looks at plastics, especially single-use disposable. And he is amazing. He really tries to de-plasticize his life, and it's amazing all the ways that it's connected. And my students like it. See, I don't always often find documentaries my students like.
Right,
so there you go.
Right. Bag It. Okay, I'll check it out, because I keep reading about now that they want to. Oh, that in the Pacific, that they want to make
Pacific
that
garbage patch.
Yeah, that they want to make it a country now to like to bring. It's really to bring
resources.
Awareness to it, And I saw a whole thing online about like that they have money that's with the pictures of And I was like, makes me sad.
It's really sad.
It just makes me sad.
There's no way.
I know.
When we throw things away.
Bag it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to deplasticize my life.
It's hard.
I'm positive of that part.
And
I'll do I can only do little chunks at a time.
So applesauce and peanut butter, like they used to be sold in glass jars.
Yeah.
And now
everything's in plastic. Mm-hmm. Everything is in plastic.
I know. And it's helpful for fuel. It's lighter to transport. And glass isn't that easy to recycle.
Right.
It's not like aluminum, so let's just put applesauce in aluminum and be done.
Well, no, you can't though, can you? When I have there'd be a acidic reaction thing with aluminum.
Yeah, and so that's one reason they line cans with
That's my
plastic.
scientific term, acidic reaction thing.
Yeah, no, true that.
Oh, I'm going to watch it anyway. I can at least do some of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I am ready. I am ready, Mr. Sam.
Okay, here we
Sam, I am.
And we are back with Theresa Coble, and it's question time. I have questions for you, ma'am. All right, Forest Park.
Yes.
Right, Forest Park forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know about the hats.
Yeah, the hat luncheon.
The hat luncheon. All right, what would be in your hat?
Oh, so I will just say, if I could replicate a hat I saw 2 years ago, I think it was somebody connected with one of the local green space organizations. She had a hard hat.
Ooh.
And on it, I think there might have been a dump truck and a dozer, like they were building a trail, and there were trees, and it wrapped around the hard hat. Yeah.
Cool.
I would
Good
try
answer.
to take a page right out of that book.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, so being a part of, with the whole National Park Service and everything, do you have, this is going to be a difficult one. You can have more than one, but favorite national parks? Parks.
Wow, that's such a great question. So, of course, I'm attracted to the parks that have grand sweeping vistas, that have very unique natural landscapes. So Yellowstone has thermal features, mud pots and travertine terraces, and geysers and all kinds of, waterfalls and bison and elk. So I would say those places definitely have a place in my heart. I also fell in love as a kid that grew up in Minnesota and spent times in the North Woods when I was in college as a wilderness canoe guide in the Boundary Waters. Like, I love water, I love green, but there's a part of me that found beauty in a whole unexpected way when I first went to the desert parks. So the parks that are in Utah and Arizona, but the Utah parks, I'm thinking of Bryce Canyon, Zion, Arches. These parks have these amazing landscapes where you can walk in and around and among, and you get down to places where it's more vegetated and up through the gravelly draws, and you see these beautiful rock formations. I have loved those. And of course, there are some amazing coastal, beautiful ocean and marine settings as well. Puerto Rico has some gorgeous ones.
It does. It really does. I love Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite places. And I love that little island because it's, I'm not going to tell anybody I'm not going to say the word again. I don't want people to go there because I'm afraid that it's going to become, they're trying to keep it as a natural park reserve.
Yes.
They don't want to have all of the big hotels along the coast and all that. And I'm so wishing that they can keep it that way,
right,
because you can get a Jeep and just run around, and you can go on beaches and there's no one else there the entire day.
Yep.
There's no one but you there.
Yep.
And it's really awesome and great snorkeling, which really bums me out when the snorkeling goes, when you hear about a place you used to go snorkel and now the coral reef is dead, which just makes me so sad.
So, it's interesting because you asked what kinds of parks I like. The other thing I'll say as an add-on to that is I'm attracted to parks by scenic attractiveness and the environmental quality, the beauty of the land. There's no question. But the parks that I visited in Puerto Rico, because I had very capable and knowledgeable guides, they helped us understand the challenges in restoring the ecosystem. You had areas that whole island had been colonized early on by people planting sugar, which is very hard on local systems, and they were moving away from the sugar cultivation. And the challenge was, how do you restore the hydrology, the water, and the vegetation mix? And so they were really working very hard to take the environment back. And I think it's that hidden story of some of the unintended effects of what happened, and how people are using a lot of the best tools of management and a whole lot of heart.
Yeah.
Just dedication to restoring tracts of land and restoring the environmental function of the systems. It's very encouraging.
So that kind of leads to my next question, actually. My next question is going to be, so what's right with our region?
Oh, that's such a great, because they even have awards for that, right? Or at least in the town where I was in Nacogdoches, what's right in the region. So I would say that St. Louis has a tremendous history of welcoming people in from different backgrounds. So, for example, the Catholic tier is there. You have the Bosnian immigrants. You have certainly a history of African Americans and whites primarily being together, but it also has the challenges of how do we bridge divides? How do we build community across different culture groups or across different economic or even just our cultural preferences, and how we do band together with people like us. And so as we do that, and as we safeguard the things that we value, it can really create ripple effects into the larger system. And the lives and communities, you know, a gradient of different kinds of benefits and harms that different sites within the larger metropolitan area sort of have to contend with. So you asked me what's right, and I did a terrible professor thing. I sort of diagnosed some of
that
the
wasn't
challenges.
terrible. Plus, you said ripple effect. So, you know, that being the theme of our next TEDx event. Liked that part.
Yeah. No, and, you know, St. Louis is a converging of two major rivers. It's the place where Lewis and Clark jumped off to do their exploration. It has, I think, a place in the imagination of the people of the country, in part because of this idea of gateway to the West. I think that St. Louis is uniquely positioned to showcase the work that's being done at the community level, at the grassroots level, across different faith communities. There's so much work being done with nonprofits and incubator groups, people that are trying to nurture small business and all kinds of entrepreneurial work that can help address social change needs. All of this is happening in St. Louis, and there is a bubbling up, I think, of passion, perhaps since 2014 and what happened in Ferguson with Michael Brown. I sense that there is a renewed commitment by many people to put more skin in the game, to really be involved in trying to address some of these systemic issues that go way back. They happen nationally, but I think St. Louis is uniquely positioned to get some headway on some of the bigger challenges.
I love it. And I would love for the media to come here and showcase some of that.
Mm-hmm,
because
exactly.
There are some amazing things going on, but I think the nation looks at St. Louis and like, well, don't go there, you know, and I'm going, no, wait, I know, but come on, you know, there's a lot of amazing people here that are working on things, that are looking at everything, that are considering what we can do, that their heart is there. They want to make our region awesome. It's not just all, you know, and even, you know, we had protesters just recently, and it was relatively peaceful. I mean, they were peaceful about it, and people do have the right. They have the right. That's part of being an American citizen, is you have the right to say, I don't like something.
Correct.
You know, that's okay to do. And
in fact, it's incumbent on us. And I would suggest that we have had a long history in our nation of not really being out front with some of the warts and blemishes, not really addressing head on the deeper, more challenging issues that divide us. And we get divided on all kinds of different ways.
Right.
But I think we're starting to see that we can't just assume that all the pieces are going to cohere, minus a concerted effort on the part of everyone to sort of figure out what does it really take to fix it, or how can we heal.
I love it. I'm all about the healing. Thanks, Theresa. That's just fascinating. And I'm excited about your talk.
Thank you.
So how's that going with preparing for that? It's a lot of work, right?
It's absolutely a lot of work, and it's a personal journey. It's a professional journey. It is such a good thing that it's not happening in a vacuum. The TEDx organization is really fantastic in terms of providing resources, support, training, step-by-step, hand-holding, all kinds of things that make it work.
I love hearing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it's important, and, you know, we look at it as, you know, it's a moment for you to shine, but that, you know, we want you to be really, really shiny, because that helps. It's like great for the audience. It's great for everybody that's involved. So thank you so much for agreeing to be one of our speakers.
Wow, thank you so much, Mich.
And for coming on today.
This is fun, and I enjoyed it.
Yay. Thanks, Theresa. And for everybody out there, you guys have a great day. Make sure to subscribe to Mishmash on iTunes. See you next time. Yay, thank you,
That
man.
was fun.
It goes by so fast, too.
It
I know.
does.
I always am like, am I already at the third part? I think I'm at the third part. Oh, I hope I'm at the third part. But, oh my gosh, fascinating.
You have such a great
Fascinating
way
work.
to, I don't know, keep things churning and keep the energy
I'm
high.
so interested in, I mean, really, I am so interested in people and what they do. I've always been that way. And to me, this is like a dream come true, because all that stuff that I, you know, like I watch other interviews and think, I wish they'd ask this. I wish they would ask that. I would, you know, I'm like, I get to ask now.
Yeah, exactly.
I get to ask the questions. So to me, it's like, it's totally delightful and fun to be able to do this. You know, I'm like, thank you, universe, for giving me this opportunity to do this. So yeah.
You're here, and it looks like an underground, you know, cavern, and yet it's a window to the world.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That could be like the tagline for Shock City Studio.
Yeah.
Window to the world. I love it. Well, thank you, ma'am.
Alrighty.
And you guys have a thing tonight, don't you?
We
I'm gonna-
do. We're
Goodbye,
learning
everybody.
about posture.
See you later.